Welcome to the Wrestling Replay. It's Kato. I'm here with a new segment. All right. Now, we have started a segment called Let's Talk About It, where we're going to talk about anything that happened in the world of wrestling this week and prior to. Now, we're not going to talk about everything that happened, but we're going to talk about anything that happened that I feel like talking about. All right. This week I'm alone. I'll normally have guests or someone else up here talking, maybe via Skype or actually sitting at the round table with me, but I'm by myself this week. And as you may notice, it was a delay in the Raw replay, and it was no AEW or no SmackDown replay this week, because what I was going to do is actually put all the replay shows on the Let's Talk About It segment, but I couldn't wait, and I ended up dropping the Raw video by itself. And today I'm just going to briefly go over AEW Dynamite, what I've seen, what I think is going to happen going forward. SmackDown, what I think is going to happen via forward, and then we're going to talk about some topics that we have for the actual segment of the show. Okay, let's go ahead and jump into AEW Dynamite. They had a pretty good show. It was a pretty decent show, right? But we're gonna go ahead and start off with Sting. With Sting, I feel like we didn't get any answers at all. We know that he looked at Darby Allin and said, "Hey, there's some familiar." Similar faces or, something to that effect. We know he said that. He said he wasn't here for Cody right now. I think that's pretty interesting because Sting really just leaves it up to your imagination of what do you think is going to happen? Where do you see this going? Could he end up screwing Darby Allin down the line? Sure. Could he end up, fighting Cody? I hope not, because the last time you seen Sting in the ring didn't end too well. But yeah, we could see a match with Cody and Sting. I think that at his age and someone with the in-ring ability of Cody, that they could put on a pretty decent match. It may not be like a 5-star, 4-star match, but it will be a chance to get Sting inside the ring with an actual wrestler who I believe that he's, would be safe with and would enjoy working with. So I could see that, but Sting didn't really give us much. He didn't really let us know what was going on or why he was actually there. But he did confirm that he was signed to AEW. Now, I believe that Sting's going to be working backstage, helping maybe the younger talent, helping to mold them, maybe with their persona, helping with their in-ring movesets or something like that. I mean, he's a vet. He pretty much has done it all. He wowed us with charisma. He's the only wrestler that pretty much managed to fade to black and not say a word, but still have some of the biggest impact, in the wrestling world that, we've seen today. So who knows? But I'm happy that he is back in the wrestling business and actually, in the forefront on the TV camera and stuff like that. So I'm happy about that. Now let's go ahead and talk about Kenny Omega, man. Let's talk about the collector of belts. We've seen something similar before. If you guys remember when the Hardy Boys was in TNA, when they was in Impact Wrestling, they actually went on a little spree of their own where they collected the Impact tag titles, I believe the AAA tag titles. I believe they had some New Japan titles, the MCW titles. They had a lot of tag titles, and they was pretty much just going to every promotion that they could and winning the tag team championships. That was before they made their last return together to the WWE. But I think we're going to see something similar with Kenny Omega, and I think it'll actually be pretty good, because I think what's going to end up happening is that, these other promotions, these AAAs, these guys from New Japan, these guys from, ROH or wherever that he's going to be winning these titles from, those champions, those contenders, I should say, that's, going to compete for that belt, they're going to probably have a chance to compete on AEW in front of, millions of viewers, because I think they did like a 1.2. I think it had like 1.2 million this show at its peak. But they're going to be able to be in front of millions of fans and possibly be able to steal some of that thunder and bring it back to their promotion itself. So I think it's a pretty good idea. You still get to see Kenny Omega traveling. If you are, able to get to these shows and able to watch some of these events, you'll be able to see him live traveling. So that's awesome. But he has 2 belts right now. He has the AAA Mega title, I believe that's what it's called, and he has the AEW title right now. So it's going to be interesting to see what belt he actually collects next. Now, we all know that AEW and Impact has had a partnership or an agreement that's going to pretty much be, that's already in effect. I'm not going to say take place, it's already in effect. They have some really good guys that Kenny Omega can actually go and compete with, depending on who they want to be the champion at the time of facing Kenny Omega for the belt. I think AEW did a really good job of actually, becoming partners with these different promotions, because it's going to allow us to see a lot of matches that we thought we wouldn't see, or that we thought we wouldn't see in a long time. Normally these type matches happen when contracts expire. So I think that's a pretty good look. So that's pretty much all that happened to AEW. MJF, he retained his diamond ring. He managed to beat Orange Cassidy. I guess you could say the Inner Circle kind of, came together a little bit again. So that was cool. Let's go ahead and move on to SmackDown, though. SmackDown, it's not... Well, let's start off with Bianca Belair, actually. Let's start off with Bianca Belair. I like where she's going. To me, right now, she's the highlight of SmackDown. Well, she's the one who I really have my eye on in SmackDown, because I want to see how they mold her going forward. Like, what they're going to do with her storyline, what they're going to do with her push. Is it going to be like a direct push to the top? I mean, she already has Bayley in her sights. Bayley's the ex-champion. I mean, probably one of the top 3 talents right now on the women's SmackDown roster and Raw roster combined. So that's a really good look for Belair. If she managed to pull off beating Bayley, then I mean, you would have to think the women's title was next, right? Whether that be Carmella or whether that be Sasha Banks. Speaking of Carmella and Sasha Banks, let's go ahead and get to these two. These two would actually fight for the women's championship on SmackDown, leading to Carmella actually winning the match, but not winning the title. She won via disqualification because Banks was actually disqualified for the fact she ignored the ref count when she had her inside of the corner, just pretty much nailing her. She ignored the 5 count. So that's how she got the win. But more importantly is what happened after the match. Once again, Banks found herself victim to Carmella, man. Carmella put her, threw her into a bucket of champagne, and then proceeded to bust a bottle of champagne on the Sasha Banks back. So Banks going to be rolling into this TLC match pretty much beat up, bruised and beat up for sure. There's no way that she's going to be fully healed by the time TLC come around. But Carmella once again has the momentum on her side. Not only is she winning all of the attacks, but she's also has a win over Sasha Banks now. Though it's via disqualification, I would have to think at TLC it's going to have to be some type of no holds barred or no DQ type of match, so that wouldn't happen again. But let's go into Roman Reigns versus Kevin Owens. So KO was finally attacked by Roman Reigns. You seen Roman Reigns finally lose it. Well, he was attacked again, I should say, because he beat Kevin Owens down with a steel chair last week. But this week, he actually caught Kevin Owens in the back, beat him down again, and then send a message to his family. So I like this feud where it's going. I wasn't a fan of it initially, but I kind of like where it's going now because it's getting personal, and I feel like that's kind of it helps bring out that energy, that negative energy that you want in your feud, like it's real hatred there. I like when they bring that out. So this match may be pretty good. It's going to be a typical TLC match. Kevin Owens already said that he's bringing all his friends, the tables, ladders, and chairs to the match. And the Tribal Chief, he's been on a roll. He hasn't backed down from anyone, which I like, because normally you see the heels powder or they don't really want confrontation. But I like the way that they have this Roman Reigns heel. They kind of had it when he was a good guy. He would take any fight necessary, any fight that someone challenged him to, he would accept it. I feel like he still has that part of him as a heel, but it's more calculated, and I like it. I like that a lot. What they did with the Roman Reigns character, or what he and Paul Heyman did with the Roman Reigns character as a heel. He's still not backing down from fights. He's still taking on all challengers, but he's just way more dominant, man. I like that a lot. SmackDown was decent. I like the fact that it was some storyline advancements. I'll definitely post all the matches for AEW and SmackDown in the description down below, so that you see the full breakdown of who won the matches and who lost the matches. All right. Now, let's move on to some topics in the Let's Talk About It segment. Something that's buzzing around right now that everyone is talking about, that I've been reading everywhere, I've been seeing everyone post about it, is the fact that Vince McMahon has said he want to move some of his big guys down back to the Performance Center. All right. Now, he has Otis, he has Dabba-Kato, he has AJ's bodyguard, Mace, Keith Lee, all moving back down to the Performance Center, where they will actually be training twice a week with Adam Pearce and Drew Gulak. Now, when I first heard this, I was like, this is disrespectful. Keith Lee is amazing in the ring. He's an amazing talent. So I'm like, why would you want to move someone like that down? I understand Dabba-Kato. I haven't really seen him in an actual match. Even when him and Braun Strowman fought, I think it was like a non-sanctioned match, or they kind of like just kind of fought around. It wasn't really a wrestling match, I've yet to see the bodyguard. I've yet to really get a good look at Mace. Otis is someone who we've seen before. We've seen him in a tag team, and we've seen him in singles. Now, singles matches, no, he's not exciting. Tucker in single matches, no, he's not exciting. Which leads me to wonder, why did you break him up in the first place? All right. Now, before I get too off topic, the one thing I read in the article about Triple H, she was saying the one thing that they're looking for in a wrestler is charisma. And that makes perfect sense, right? They're looking for charisma. Look at guys like Enzo. Not the best in-ring talent. It's not a secret. Not the best in-ring talent, but he had charisma out of this world. You can say he had the most charisma when he was on that WWE roster. He had the most charisma on that whole roster. That's a fair assessment to say. And look what it carried him to. A career, championships, So charisma definitely goes a long way, and if that's something they're looking for, it actually makes sense. But I don't understand why they would split Otis and Tucker up, because Otis and Tucker, they didn't wow you off of their move sets, or how big they were, or the things they were doing. You fell in love with the characters and their charisma. That's what drew you into Otis and Tucker. The Heavy Machinery, it was more about the charisma. There was like average guys, and you can just identify with them, and they were entertaining. That's what it was. So when you broke these two guys up, I don't understand what you were seeing. I don't understand why you would think maybe Tucker had enough charisma to do it on his own, or Otis. Granted, he was over, but he didn't really have enough charisma to get it done on his own. Like, you wouldn't sit down like, oh, I've got to go watch this Otis one-on-one match. I got to go watch this Tucker one-on-one match. No, not trying to throw no shade at him, but at the end of the day, you're not watching, an Otis and Tucker match. You're not running to the TV to go turn that on. Now, when he said he's moving these guys down back to the Performance Center, I believe it sounds worse than what it actually is. You know what I'm saying? I think it sounds bad because, like, it's feel like, okay, you're going back to training. But I believe they're going back, pretty much to, refine their finish, all right? When these guys were in NXT, Otis, Tucker, and Keith Lee, when they was actually wrestling in NXT, you got to remember, NXT is a different style than the main roster. I mean, it's the same promotion, same company, but it's two totally different styles. So Keith Lee's style that he was wrestling on NXT and wrestling on the indie scene, it was perfect for that. But you got to understand that Vince McMahon, he's like a mastermind. He's a mastermind, and the things that he have in his head, he wants you to go and recreate what he have in his head inside of the wrestling ring. All right. Now, I wouldn't be surprised if he wants Keith Lee to be less agile, and be more dominant, be more like a forceful big man. Keith Lee's definitely not a small guy. He's one of the bigger guys on the roster. So I can only imagine he wants Keith Lee to run through his opponents, you know what I'm saying? And not try to do so many spots to show his athleticism, but more show his power versus his athleticism. Kind of like Braun Strowman. If Braun Strowman can do a moonsault, I don't think Vince want to see Braun Strowman doing a moonsault off the top rope. That's just what it is. We've seen guys like Brock Lesnar. Brock Lesnar hit a shooting star press. Vince doesn't want Brock going out there hitting shooting star presses. That's not what he want from his beast. You know what I'm saying? That's not what he want. So it makes sense of why they're going back to the Performance Center. It sounds bad because we're calling it the Performance Center, but it makes sense because I feel like Vince is only sending them there to refine and correct their style into how he wants to see them on the main roster. And someone like Otis, it actually could benefit because Otis, I feel like his single matches, he still wrestles as if he's in a tag team, if that makes any sense. It's like, it's really slow, and at times it's kind of like he don't know what to do next, or he's unsure of what to do next. But that's when you'll get, some dancing, or, just the random looks around the ring, so he could slow it down and kind of think of, where he wants to go, where he wants to take it, which is cool. But I'm pretty sure Vince McMahon wants him to have, again, a more dominant presence. Now, guys like Dabba-Kato and Mace, and the rest, these guys are giants. You guys are huge. These guys are, I can only imagine he wants them to be more like, the Big Show was. He wants them to be like his Braun Strowman. He wants them to be like a Kane, an Undertaker. Those type of dominant big men. The type of big men that can go in and end the match in 30 seconds, and you wouldn't think twice about it. You wouldn't think that it's not believable. You gotta remember, like in the 90s, you had Psycho Sid, you had Adam Bomb, you had Diesel. That was your big guys. Those guys were dominant guys. Even Crush, even when he played like a fan favorite, and he was like the Hawaiian Crush, his move, he pretty much smashed your head with his hands. That's still like a dominant finisher. It kind of just letting you know like how like it just shows his menace side. And I think that's what he really wants from these big guys, even though it just sounds a little bit bad. But I wouldn't be surprised if these guys come back and actually get some big push, especially Keith Lee, because the talent's there. You can see the talent in Keith Lee. He can probably do damn near anything you want him to do. Just tell him what you want, and I guarantee Keith Lee would get it done. So when Keith Lee comes back, that's one guy for sure. I'm like, okay, I can see him coming back, maybe as a heel, and you can push this guy to the moon because he'll be that dominant character that you want him to be. I feel like on NXT, they'll allow these guys to more so just be themselves or be the type of character that they want to be. And that's why it works so well, because even if these guys aren't, the best actors or best in making you believe what their character is, kind of like a Bray Wyatt. Bray Wyatt played multiple characters in his tenure in WWE. Heath Slater played multiple characters in his tenure in WWE, but they did a really good job of nailing all of their characters. All right, NXT, I feel like these guys, whatever you want to be, whatever you feel comfortable with, that's the character we're gonna put, and then we'll adjust and throw you in the storylines where we want to put you in and where we see your character fitting in. That's why I think some guys just, like NXT, and their style of wrestling actually works. They're happy with how they wrestle, and they're happy with the character they get to portray. Someone like Aleister Black, when they took Aleister Black from NXT and moved him up to the main roster, initially it was the same guy, but slowly as we went on, it wasn't the same Aleister Black we was used to. It's not the same Aleister Black I wanted anyway. And right now, it's kind of like he's in limbo and they don't even know what to do with him. He wants to go back to NXT, and it makes sense because, one, he's going to be wrestling the style of matches he wants, right? Two, he's probably going to be, not probably, he should be in the top tier. So he should be like instantly in the feud. I would love to see Aleister Black and Finn Balor, Karrion Kross, Tommaso Ciampa. Like, you can watch those matches all the time. You can keep running these matches back. Johnny Gargano, like, it's so many guys down there that he can actually just continue to feud with. Him and Velveteen Dream feud was amazing. It was really good. So I can understand why someone like that is frustrated that you can't find a spot for me on the Raw or SmackDown roster right now. Seeing as though he's on SmackDown, but they can't find a spot for him, and he's so talented, and they just have nothing to do with it. And that's why I sometimes do question the creative team of WWE and how they aren't able to come up with storylines for guys who have the greatest in-ring ability. Honestly, you can give us Buddy Murphy and you can give us Aleister Black again right now, and we would love it. It would be perfect, But Yeah, so I don't think the NXT I don't think the Performance Center move is too bad. I think he wants to send them away so that we kind of forget about them. So when they reemerge, well, Keith Lee will be hard to forget about, but when they reemerge, I think we're gonna be like, okay, this is the type of product, this is the type of character that they wanted on, Raw or SmackDown, wherever they're gonna have these guys go once they come back up or leave the Performance Center. But it does suck they have to like train 2 days a week. But I mean, hey, it's not like NBA players or NFL players don't practice, right? So it is what it is, man. Now Jackson Ryder, if you guys remember Jackson Ryder, he was with the Forgotten Sons, and his two counterparts are actually now with King Corbin. I believe they have a faction going on. I'm not sure what it's called. I didn't even catch the name of it, if they even dropped the name. But the Forgotten Sons are clearly broken up now. And on the main event, it kind of hinted to maybe a possible Elias and Jackson Ryder tag team. Now, I would be a big fan of that. Like, I think Elias is someone who has a lot of talent, and you have to figure out how to use him in the ring. You have to figure out how can we get this guy in title pictures, in main event scenes, or at least the upper card, because he's very talented and he can keep you entertained by doing multiple things outside of the wrestling ring. Someone like Jackson Ryder, I've been following him since he was on Impact. When you've seen him, he remind me of a Lex Luger, just his body type. He's not as tall, but he remind me of his build remind me of Lex Luger. And I remember thinking like, yo, this dude looks like money. Like if he ever went to WWE, he would be an instant champion. Now I'm not sure. I don't know if the tweet that he sent out early on about, the whole president situation had anything to do with why he's been off air for so long. But nonetheless, he's back, right? If him and Elias team up, I think that would be an awesome tag team to add to that division. Long as those two can get along. I feel like, well, not get along. I should say long as those two actually mesh. And I mean, can they look good together? Can they wrestle together? Does their style complement each other? That's what I would like to see. So if that happens and they actually mesh well, this could be a tag team that you could see winning the championship, 3, 4, 5 times. I actually would probably like them better than I like Dolph Ziggler and Rude together, because I don't believe those two guys actually really mesh well at all. Initially, I'm like, okay, they're gonna get it together. These two are two great singles wrestlers. They're really good in ring. They're really good workers by themselves. And Robert Roode was actually in a really good tag team with James Storms back in his TNA days. So you know that he can wrestle the tag team style. And so it isn't that. I just don't think these two I don't think they click. At least not in the ring. I don't know what it is. I can't really put my finger on it. The next time I watch them go against the Street Profits, I'm going to pay real close attention and actually figure out why I don't like these two together. Like, it's something that's just off with it, man. Something's wrong. But let's go ahead and talk about possible WrestleMania matches, right? I seen an article on WrestlingInc.com where they was talking about possible WrestleMania matches and lineups. Now, let's go ahead and go with the Orton and Edge, right? That was one of the matches to be rumored at WrestleMania next year. Edge and Orton. Now, we already know what we're going to get. We're going to get a great feud out of the two. We're going to get great personal promos. I feel like it was unfinished business even after the last match, right before Edge left. It was still some unfinished business. So I'm not exactly sure what type of match they would have. A typical one-on-one match won't do. Not after, their last match. A typical one-on-one match will not do. So they're going to have to find a way to come up with another style match. Maybe, a career versus career match. Granted, Randy should win that match. But I think that match will give like Edge a proper, farewell, a proper, okay, I'm really done from the wrestling game. It's pretty much over, legitly. That was one rumored match. The other rumored match I seen, I didn't like it too much, man. It was Brock Lesnar versus Drew McIntyre versus Keith Lee. Now, with Keith Lee being sent back to the Performance Center, could this be maybe what they're trying to gear him for. Maybe they see a certain type of character that they want to come in and maybe defeat Brock and Drew. Because, Brock is a beast. Drew McIntyre, he's on another level right now. He's on another level. And Keith Lee, technically, I feel like he's right there with them, but he needs a little oomph. He needs like a little push. Something to really just get him over the edge to where you could feel like, yeah, he could beat Brock. Yeah, he could beat Drew. And I think that's what Vince McMahon is doing. I think it's why he went back to the Performance Center. So I wouldn't be surprised to see this match. But honestly, I would rather see Keith Lee one-on-one with Brock Lesnar. I would love to see that. Or I would love to see, instead of triple threat, I would love to see this match as any one of the three or any two of the three in one-on-one matches. I think that would be pretty cool. Or maybe they could come up with some type of, I don't know, some round robin style match where they do some point system or something like that. So we get to see Brock versus Drew and Brock versus Keith Lee and Keith Lee versus Drew McIntyre. And whoever gets the most falls out of those three matches will, win the title or have some type of advantage going into the triple threat. I think that would be pretty cool. I'm not sure where talks is going right now with Brock Lesnar. Last I remember, I believe he's out of contract. I could be wrong, but I believe he's out of contract right now. So it'll be interesting to see if he actually come back. I mean, I know money talks, but we'll have to see. Brock Lesnar like to do things on Brock Lesnar time, and I can't blame him, man. Once you get to that level, you kind of get to call your own shot. So it is what it is. Now, let's move on to Roman Reigns in the Universal title picture. There's a lot of names I've seen floating around. I've seen Drew McIntyre. I don't think that's going to happen for the fact that they already gave it to us, for one. And two, unless you're going to combine those championships and make it one championship inside the company again, no Raw championship and no SmackDown championship, what would the match really prove? It's not going to be for a title. It's going to headline WrestleMania. It should headline WrestleMania, but I don't see why you would waste a WrestleMania slot with your two champions in that match. You know what I'm saying? We can get that at Royal Rumble. We can get that, anytime later on, SummerSlam or something like that. So I don't see that match happening. We see Daniel Bryan and Big E. I heard those two names floated around as well. With the lack of momentum that I see for Big E and Daniel Bryan towards the actual Universal title, I don't see these guys actually having that in their radar. Both of these guys right now are focused on Sami Zayn and the Intercontinental title. So I see them both actually going for that title. Maybe a triple threat between those three at WrestleMania would make a little more sense than Keith Lee, Brock Lesnar, and Drew McIntyre. But we'll have to see. But I don't see them going after Roman Reigns' title. They would really have to build up some momentum. Now, Daniel Bryan did, get his revenge over Jey Uso. So I guess technically, if you want to say so, that the next place would be for him to go fight Roman Reigns. That's the next spot in the family for him to go take down. But they're gonna have to build some serious momentum, or they're gonna have to let one of these two guys win the Royal Rumble, which I really hope not. I wouldn't mind seeing Big E win the Royal Rumble, but I hope they have a lot of momentum just built up to it, because I wouldn't mind seeing Roman Reigns and Big E actually go at it. I don't know if I would put it at WrestleMania though, but I could see these two having a pretty good match. The last name we had, we got two more names. The second name was The Rock. Now, of course, we would love to see The Rock, right? And actually, that's kind of where I had my story with Roman Reigns ending. It's actually at The Rock, and then that's where Big E would pick it up. But I don't see no way that you would have The Rock at this WrestleMania. It wouldn't make any sense. It's no crowd, or I think they're going to do like maybe 15% or 20% or something like that, possibly. But no, if you're gonna get someone like The Rock, he's still young enough that he can do it next year or next WrestleMania. He's still young enough he could do it again. Also, you want to really build around that. You want to really build towards that. And I want that pop of the crowd when The Rock first come out. Like the very first time he makes his entrance to SmackDown. He comes back to SmackDown again. I need a crowd there to really get that pop. I don't see why you would waste it when you got you pretty much have an ace in your pocket. And I can play this. That's the big joker. You can play that big joker and you're going to win. Whatever that hand is, you're going to win. Because The Rock he's a megastar. He's a megastar, so you know exactly what you're going to get. The last name I seen floating around is actually Bill Goldberg. Now, Bill Goldberg recently made a statement saying, hey, Roman Reigns is actually on my list, like the match that he really wants himself. Goldberg is, I believe, 53 or 54. He's on contract for another 3 or 4 years. So it could happen. It could happen. And Roman Reigns actually made a response back to Goldberg about being on his list. So this could be a match that we actually see. But is this a match that the public wants? That's the real question. Is this the match that everybody wants to see? Let's think about this for a second. Bill Goldberg is Bill Goldberg. Yeah, he's Mr. 173-0. That's him, for sure. But his last few matches have not been good. His match with The Fiend, yeah, you built Bill Goldberg up and made him look like, made him look like the Fiend Slayer. That's what you made him look like. But the match itself wasn't good. It wasn't a good match. His match with The Undertaker, horrible match. Now, we know the quality of matches The Undertaker can have, and we know the quality of matches that Bill Goldberg can have. Even with Bill Goldberg only having not one, I'm sorry, that would be disrespectful. Even with him only having like 4 or 5 moves, like, to be honest, he only has about 4 or 5 moves, he's still able to put on a pretty good match. Like, well, he'll make it entertaining, I should say that. It'll be a very entertaining match still, but the last few times we see him in the ring, it just hasn't been good. Now, a match with Roman Reigns, I think Reigns' new style and how he wrestles now, it could help because he moves a little bit slower in the ring. Moves are much more explosive. He does an explosive move, and he might give 20 seconds of walking around and talking trash to the crowd or to the opponent, or looking at the approval from Paul Heyman before he even think about going into his next move with his opponent. And that can help because the endurance from Goldberg, he has time to actually breathe, catch his breath, get ready for the next spot. So that can actually help Bill Goldberg. So when it is time for him, to fire up and have his, 2-3 minutes of getting his offensive move sets off, he'll be able, he won't be winded. He'll be able to carry these moves off without any problem. So I could see Roman Reigns, this new heel Roman Reigns, the tribal chief Roman Reigns, being able to make this match actually a pretty good match. At least entertaining from an entertainment standpoint. I don't think Goldberg would mind taking bumps. I don't think Roman would mind taking bumps. So it would definitely work out. So we'll have to see. Now, if we do get Roman Reigns and Bill Goldberg, the only question really after that is this something the fans want to see? Now, Bill is one of those names where, you say his name and you could say you hate him as much as you want, but you still kind of tune in just to see exactly what he's doing and what's happening. So, I don't know, man. I don't know. We'll have to pretty much wait to see what happens. But that's all I got for the Let's Talk About It episode number 1, very first episode. Make sure you come back for episode number 2, which will be airing next week. I think I'm going to drop these videos maybe Saturday mornings or Sunday mornings. I'm not exactly sure yet, but they're definitely going to be dropping on the weekend. So if you like the Let's Talk About It segment, stay tuned for that. The replays will still be happening. I'll do Monday Night Raw right after Monday. I'll do Dynamite after Wednesday, SmackDown, so on. So I will continue to do the replay videos one at a time. I like it better that way myself, personally. So the Let's Talk About It segment will be more topics, less replays. This week we only did a replay because I didn't get to recap the 2 shows that I did earlier. So yeah, it'll be more like this, man, and I'll have guests. So if you guys have any topics or anything that you want our opinion on or want to hear us talk about, or, just our take on how we see certain things going or certain storylines or how we will book them, then, yeah, hit us up in the DM, hit us in the comment down below. We'll love to, read your comments and messages. And we'll probably talk back and forth. I talk back and forth a lot, especially on Instagram. So make sure you follow our Instagram. And right now we actually have a holiday contest going on. So shoot over to Instagram. It's at the Wrestling Replay. So it's not hard to find. Shoot over there. Enter inside of the tournament. It's a point system. Not tournament. The contest. It's a point system. Real easy to enter. All right, you get to win $50 up to $50 of wrestling merch, whether that be T-shirts, toys, bears, whatever you want, from any website that you like. Just if you're the winner, you'll be able to do that if you subscribe to the channel as well, and drop a video saying, "Hey, I'm subscribed." I'm gonna drop a comment saying, "Hey, I'm a subscriber," or just give me a thumbs up, something like that. I'll see you, and I'll know you're here, and then you'll be able to actually have an additional person win the $50. But the whole breakdown is actually inside the Instagram post, so make sure you go check that out. All the rules are listed, so it's easy to follow along. All right, but nonetheless, that's all I got for you guys. So, Kato, signing out. Peace.